Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. I've just been catching up on YouTube. Some really good videos coming from Beyond the Imaginary Curve and Sheeps and Neeps. Go watch them on YouTube if you haven't already. There's Beyond the Imaginary Curve, which is Dal. He's been talking about perspective and looking at Miles Davis and people, other YouTubers who've been putting out videos which have been influencing people, and talking about the realistics of that. And Sheeps and Eeps Des has been talking about GMCAF, I hope I got that right, and also what was the other thing? It was to do with our offshore accounts, which is really, really interesting. And the thing is, like, this is the thing. I mean, I know a lot of people dig at YouTube and sort of say, wow, you're listening to YouTube, you're getting it off YouTube. But there's a lot of information you do get out that you don't get taught at schools. They don't teach you on TV. You know, maybe if you watch the History Channel or the Biography Channel, you might find it there somewhere. But a lot of these things, they're not readily available. They're not mainstream. Let's put it that way. And there's a reason why they're not mainstream, because when you hear all these things, you're amazed to what's really going on that you don't realise. And first of all, so both these things, what I was thinking recently is the problem that we have is the way we've been taught allows us to never know who to trust, in the sense that, you know, like we're meant to believe in authority, isn't it? Like the teachers, the presenters, the politicians, they have authority, and when they say something, it has gravitas, and we believe it, no matter whether they're telling the truth or lying, or have a history of that. But when it's an ordinary person on YouTube, then we tend to not think that they're telling the truth, or they have, you know, or that they, you know, for some reason they can't be trusted, although all of them are human beings and all fallible to all sorts of things, and all of them could be as equally educated or equally as right as each other. But we will always err on the caution when it comes to people who are not in authority, because that's historically how we have been trained. From when you sit in a school and the teacher's standing in front of you and you're sitting in a chair looking up to them, and they're teaching you everything that you now know. So my problem is, you know, like, and this is the thing, you know, recently Jamie Brown, he's been mentioning, not recently, but recently before, he's been mentioning Miles Davis, and, you know, to do with objects dropping at the back. And I didn't actually see the Miles Davis videos that he was talking about, but then I was thinking, I should go and have a look, see what he's talking about, and, you know, but the problem is a lot of people just watch these things and then they say, oh, okay, then that means that the Earth is a round ball, or it's this, that, and the other, you know, whatever you want to believe. And I guess the problem is until like Dale came on Beyond the Imaginary Curve, and he's now looked at it and showing that how that they've been drawing lines of where the person's been standing rather than the centre of the screen, which, you know, is true. Like whenever you film something, the centre, you know, my eye line is where the camera, unless you're holding it by your hand or something, like as if you're. I was positioning that, you can't see me, but I was positioning like my hand was dropped down to my knee and holding the camera that way, lifting up like that. But there's not very many people who take photos or video like that. Although you can get that, you know, obviously some cameramen who film things, you know, do walk around like that to get that motion, but you'd always be looking up. But that's what I mean, until someone does that, then, but you can't always rely, and this is the thing, that rely on people, you know, to correct you when you've been misled. But you can always rely on people to mislead you. That sounds good. And it's like Dow always says, you know, that we should always be discerning ourselves. But the problem is, it's not always easy, because we all lack certain, you know, educational things, you know, in the sense that, you know, I don't know about this, that, or the other, or someone else doesn't know about that, but knows about this, and so, and like I say, because we've been trained to just follow, as it were, when we see something, then we say, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Whereas that person could have just, you know, deceived you, and you just didn't realise. So I think that's something we should have all learned by now, that we have to be very careful when information is presented to us, to know, to be able to validate it, and to know whether, you know, is this right, or is someone just, you know, using their authority, as it were, to sway you. So it's a really good video that Beyond the Imaginary Curve I put out, because it answers a lot of those things, that why, you know, objects are falling below is because of the angle of the camera, and the way perspective works. But yeah, I would go and give it a listen, because I'm not giving it justice. But he's done a few videos now and a few examples outside. And the other video I was watching is Sheeps and Neeps. He's been talking about GMCAF, something like that. It's to do with is this drug that apparently has some curative elements to it with cancer and lots of other diseases, which apparently there's something to do with Negligence. It blocks, or it encourages our immune system to work a better way, which was interesting. My problem is with these things is, because I think was it Peter, not Dixon, I can't remember his name now. There was a guy that's in court at the moment. My problem is you get a lot of people who will come up with something, and, you know, they're benefiting from it monetarily, and that's always makes me worry a little bit. How you know, like, if I can't believe the NHS, then how can I know that I can believe another individual as well? Or a pharmaceutical company, because at the end of the day, they all want to. There's a monetary aspect to it all. So it's difficult to know, you know, when you listen to things, to know whether, you know, it could be the truth, or it might not be. But it's really interesting listening to it. But it's just a shame that we live in a society where trust is so difficult to attain from human beings, because of this propensity to lie all the time, or a lot of the time, or, you know, for monetary gain. Because this guy, he may be genuine, or he may be, you know, a charlatan, you know, who's selling this thing that does more harm than good, or it doesn't benefit as it says it does. And obviously, you know, from me, I'm always thinking of the skeptical, because, you know, we're programmed to believe in authority, and to, you know, anyone who questions that, to say, oh no, that they must be making it up to make a quick buck, but they may not be. But the problem is no one takes it seriously, in the sense of, you know, actually probably doing studies and researching it. But one of the interesting things that Sheeps also had was about the trusts, and how the banking system, and how individuals use trusts to you know, hide money away, as it were, and all these things that are going on that you don't really realise until, you know, you see that this is how things operate. But I guess what I've come from both these videos is the aspect of, and I know I've mentioned it previously, is trust. And that's where a lot of people, I think, have a problem now, because if you just trust in authority and people, then you can be misled, you know. Like, imagine a soldier in 1990, I was going to say one, but I think it was 98, whenever it was, when the Iraq War, the second one, you know, he's trusting his government, his country, Queen and country, to lead him off to the righteous battle, and yet he's fighting in an illegal war and may actually be committing war crimes, you know. And the thing is, like, a lot of people who listen to this, you know, people who you know, say don't believe in, you know, believe in the globe Earth, or believe in that, you know, the pharmaceutical companies are not doing anything bad. I mean, and all those things. And, you know, to a certain extent, I don't know whether the pharmaceutical companies are, you know, maliciously doing things, or whether it's just because of money. I'm assuming it's the latter. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for that one. And, you know, they're obviously going to say, no, you're just being conspiratorial, you're just being fallacious or whatever, you're just, you know, you don't know what you're talking about, or this, that and the other. But so that's why I want to read this out from Sky News. This is about Primodos, I hope I pronounced that right. And this is why, you know, if you don't want to look at all the other things like Flat Earth and 9/11 and vaccines causing autism or, you know, defects and this, that and the other, and all the things that we, as a species, we still don't seem to know the cause of all of these things. Just listen to this. So this is Sky News yesterday. Oxford University study links pregnancy drug Primodos to birth defects. A groundbreaking study from Oxford University has linked the pregnancy test drug Primodos to malformations in babies born to mothers who use this drug. And it also details where employees were told not to take this drug because it actually has birth defects. And I assume, well, actually it's important to read that out, because this is, Sky News can also reveal a former employee at the drug manufacturer who was advised not to use Primodos by a doctor working at the company while it was still being offered to the public. Now that's a very important statement, really, because, you know, I'm saying that pharmaceutical companies, are they, you know, doing things for money, or are they doing, or is there an alternative, an ulterior motive? Well, I think that shows that, yeah, it is for money. They don't see they were telling their own employee, don't take the drug because it is dangerous for you, but they were then selling it. Now just remember that. That's a drug manufacturer, a pharmaceutical company that was saying that. And just remember that every drug that you pump into your body and every drug that you pump into your baby's body is made by a drug manufacturer. Now I'm not saying that everyone's the same and all companies are different, but that's very alarming, no? So here, Sandra Malcolm became pregnant while working as a receptionist for Shering in Burgess Hill. She says she was told by a doctor at the company, I can't give it to you because it may not work and it may cause deformities. So this was during the 70s, I assume the 80s. Now, the other interesting bit I want to give you is this. And this is where I'm talking about, where it shows you about trust and, you know, how it's important. You know, trust is very important, and why we find that we can't trust things, and why people say, no, of course you can trust them. So listen to this. This new publication, that's the Oxford study, comes almost a year after a government commission review suggested evidence wasn't strong enough to demonstrate a causal association. So there you go. The government did the same examination of this drug a year ago, and apparently, no, we couldn't. There's not enough evidence, surprisingly. Now remember that your doctors and your teachers and this, that and the other, they're all working from government manifestos, isn't it? The information that is fed down to them comes from government ministers. The government ministers you have to trust that would have told pregnant women that no, the drug you were taking didn't cause those deformities. And if you'd gone to your GP and said the same after that report, they would have said, no, the government did a study and there's no link. It wasn't because of that. So trust us when we give you more tablets and pills. I mean, I don't think I really need to say any more than that. I don't know if there's any more that I need to read out. So here we've got Sky News also. The manufacturer took over Shering told Sky News Bayer is aware of the ongoing independent medicines and medical device safety review. And it's got a quote, this follows a review by an independent expert working group on hormone pregnancy tests of the Commission of Human Medicines that has already found, consistent with Bayer's view and based on all available data, that the scientific evidence does not support a causal association between the use of the hormone pregnancy tests such as Primodos and birth defects or miscarriage. So obviously this company has been bought up by somebody else, and they're saying no, it's nothing. This is not a link. So ends, and MHRA spokesperson responded to the Oxford University study saying, "This publication, which is currently awaiting peer review, does not contain new data. It is a different approach to the analysis of existing historical observation data, which was reviewed by the Commission of Human Medicine Expert Working Group on Hormone Pregnancy Tests." And the last bit is, the review by the expert working group was comprehensive, scientifically robust, and independent. Independent, sorry, I have to laugh there, because half of these things are not really independent, are they? Based on the totality of the data, the review concluded the available scientific evidence did not support a causal association between the use of HBTs, such as Primodos, during early pregnancies and birth defects or miscarriage. In line with our commitment to review any new evidence, we will consulting independent scientific experts for their views. So they'll be paying someone else to come up with backing up their answer, basically. I mean, it's no surprise that the company that owns, the company that makes Primodos are going to, not going to fall on their sword and say, yeah, you're right, we found, well, I don't know, it's just, that's why it's difficult to trust things, because, you've got two views there. Now, I'm assuming that one of them is lying and one of them is telling the truth. Now, we don't know which one it is, because we're just lay persons, as it were, to use global speak. So either, the drug manufacturer, right, and it didn't make money, and the government, and it was fine. Now, I don't know what is the vested interest of the government backing up this pharmaceutical company, unless there's, they have board of governors in it, or they have money involved in these drugs companies. Possibly it's that, or possibly it's because it would come back to the NHS who gave out the drug. Or you've got the Oxford study that shows there are links. I suppose then you've got to ask, well, if it wasn't this, what gave all these birth defects if they were all taking this? But that's the problem, is it's like, when they go with the vaccines and they say it doesn't cause autism, and they only check like the MMR one, but there's lots of vaccines that are given to babies through their, pumped into them through the, early birth and the 16 weeks and the year and this, that and the other. The problem is it's difficult to rule out what causes and what doesn't. But the thing is, from our point of view, is we're seeing two sides saying the opposite. And so obviously people with, obviously well, it's interesting because this one you've got the government and you've got a drugs manufacturer and then you've got a major university. They're all authoritarians. So it'd be interesting, because if it had just been like, Joe Bloggs at the other side, no one would have believed Joe Bloggs. But because it's Oxford University, they have some gravitas. People might actually believe them over the government and the drug manufacturer. But it just goes to show you that, you've got, this is just one story where you don't know what to believe, you don't know what's true or what's not. And at the end of it, one of them is going to win. That may not be the truth, because lies often do win as well. So don't bank on that what they come out with the end actually being the truth of the matter. And then the problem is, what about the rest of the world that we live upon? What about all the other things that we take for granted? I know I'm being a little bit fallacious by trying to align the two things, but what I'm trying to say is that's what a lot of us these days have problems with, is the issue of trust, because we see all these cases coming over and over again where things we're told might not necessarily be of benefit to us or truthful or are done for money gains or this, that and the other. I think I've waffled on long enough. Anyway, so take care, take it easy, God bless and peace.